I, 34F, found out my pastor and therapist husband has been having numerous affairs. My husband and I have been married for 12 years and he runs an alcohol treatment center that is heavily religious in nature. His father was a pastor, and when he was in school he studied first to also be a pastor and then pivoted towards a master's degree in pastoral counseling with a focus on substance abuse treatment. After he was denied for a position at a church he really wanted. One thing leads to another, and in our heavily Southern Baptist area he ends up founding an organization and treatment center that incorporates our faith into sobriety. It has become a mainstay for a lot of local people, and people see it as a family. My husband is a great speaker, so he draws in a lot of interest and can easily get people to work for him for free, even though he makes a significant amount every time somebody signs up for a program. In fact, if he spent even 10% of his profit on payroll, these people would be making miles above the national average for their job. I often feel astonished that people aren't resentful that their contributions aren't being compensated for a fraction of what it is worth. But for years I never really questioned my husband or what he did for work because I thought he was doing good, and everybody at the church we go to where he speaks at regularly also admires him. However, in recent years, because our sons are now turning 10 and 8, I have been going to community college for paralegal studies and was able to be mentored by friends in the legal profession. I had put off college for so many years because of my relationship and because my husband said I didn't have to worry and that I could stay home and focus on the kids. I found an intellectual curiosity that I never knew I had, and definitely want to pursue a career in law. This didn't go over well with my husband, and I started to see how dismissive he was of most of my thoughts. I also found out he was lying pretty compulsively to people regarding his childhood and other credentials, a lot of which was to either elicit sympathy or make himself seem more brave or prodigal. For example, he said that his late mom was a habitual cocaine user throughout her life who beat him. An account that everybody in his family says is not true, and he also admitted was not true, but that he couldn't think of a good way to spin why he really went into the substance abuse field. He also constantly mocks every person he's around for work and basically says they will never amount to anything and that they are idiots for either working for free or paying through their nose to get sober. When I married him thinking he was a great guy and that I would stick by him for life, but I find every day more unbearable. At home, he is a totally different person than in public. We had hired a cleaning company and a friend of mine knew the owner. The owner said that he could have made a lot of money off saying that my husband was a client of his, but that he decided it wasn't worth it because of how my husband treated the cleaners who came over to our house. While requests by us have been met with schedule conflicts, we have obviously been banned, and I know that it's because of my husband's dismissive, irate nature. The straw that broke the camel's back was me going to the doctors with symptoms and finding out that I had a bacterial STD after missing periods and having a mysterious mild fever. But I knew that I wasn't the one sleeping around, so when I told my husband about the diagnosis he freaked out and admitted to an affair. I was heartbroken but told him he needed to tell her and her sexual partners about this, and that's when it came out that he was having numerous affairs and he didn't want to tell anyone about it. He got tested and it turns out he was asymptomatic. I found out one of them was a long-term thing, but others were midnight bar flings across the country or escorts. He claimed that his life was stressful and it was just an outlet. He agreed to wear a condom until I could trust him again and said he wanted to work this out, and that we had to, or it would be public shame for both of us. For a couple days after this he was very apologetic, buying me gifts and surprising me with a planned trip to Paris. However, when he said that I should trust his expertise and refused to see an independent therapist even though there are so many virtual options that would have gotten us a reputable therapist on the other side of the country. He reverted back to being dismissive and ambushed me with an impromptu sit down about our marriage, where he began painting infidelity recovery in a way that it was still only on his terms. I had had enough and we ended up sleeping in different bedrooms. He responded to this by making the concession that I can have the passcode to his phone now and that he won't ever get mad if I ask him to verify where he is going, but he also wants things to go back to normal and for me to act like this never happened. He said we'd be ruined if we divorce and tried to bribe me by saying that I could get a job at his organization to further the career he was fighting me on. But when I still didn't just put a smile on my face and say all is forgiven, he will say that I would have a hard life if I divorced him and that my career would be unrewarding and take me nowhere. What do I do? Our boys feel the tension, but both are overawed by their father. I cannot imagine starting over, and I feel like he would be very resentful of any divorce. But the duplicity of his and by extension our life is giving me whiplash. Oh, he is half right. His reputation will be ruined. Oh the F well. You're not the guilty scum that did this. He is. You'll be just fine. Get a lawyer. Tell both of your families what is going on and fight for your child. Of course he is trying to convince you that life will be harder if you divorce him. He has so much more to lose and is trying to manipulate you into staying. Know your worth and get out. He's showing he won't change. It's just an act to win you back, and the second you're back on wifey duties he'll fall bad into old habits. Obviously you get a divorce and get tested for STDs. Test again in 6 months for HIV, as it does not immediately appear sometimey. Or would you like to wait around and get a batch of syphilis? I hear it's making a real comeback these days. You need a divorce. My suggestion is to quietly get an attorney to start the process, but fake everything being okay at home. Don't let him know until your attorney advises you. I don't know what is best in terms of when to move out or handle bank accounts. Hopefully, your college work in the legal field will not cause him to suspect what you are doing, since he has a lot to lose if his cheating becomes public knowledge. You might be able to get out well financially if you keep the reasons for the divorce private. As far as your kids, this will come out at some point. It is not in their best interest to be kept in a life where they idolize him, or where he can influence them to be like him. Your husband sounds like a narcissist. He does not sound like the person who has valued you or anyone else in any way. And when he says, we'd be ruined if we divorce, he means he and his reputation would be ruined if he divorced. You should think about why he doesn't want to go to a therapist and which one of you benefits from what he's insisting is the right path. It's not gonna be your sons if they're learning from his example. I don't want to sound like a sensationalist, but on paper he sounds like the kind of person who will murder his wife for divorcing him. A narcissist who thinks his wife could ruin him is a scary person. Emo. I think you should go to a lawyer secretly, and then find a way to get yourself and your children away from him safely. Would you encourage your boys to stay in a relationship with someone like your husband? You have all the power in this situation. That's why he's acting desperate. The only thing you don't have is your own money, perhaps? Here's my 2 cents. 1. Set aside money for yourself and keep sleeping separately. 2. Hire a lawyer and give them all the evidence of your husband's infidelity. 3. Divorce him and get primary custody and child support. 4. Report his organization for exploiting employees and for him being unlicensed but offering therapy services. 5. Let the local news station know about this scandal anonymously. 6. Kick back, eat some popcorn and watch his life burn to the ground. Burn it all down, babe. Divorce babes! Exclamation mark. You shall not commit adultery. Wow, I completely misunderstood the title. I was thinking your pastor and your husband were having an affair, LMAO. This will not publicly shame you as it will shame him. He has shown that not only is he unfaithful and that he doesn't care about his health, but he doesn't care about yours as well. He is self-serving and just doesn't want to look contradictory as he is a pastor and a divorce wouldn't look good for a pastor. I say leave, but first you need to tell someone about this. You need legal advice on top of that. You won't be ruined, he'll be ruined. You are currently treading on a very thin line. You are currently in the South where morality and religion are deemed the same thing. His reputation as a pastor and therapist has been built off his character and how he presents himself to people. His affair involving STIs is enough to permanently ruin his livelihood, his ego and his community. This is the same man that has managed to make multiple people uncomfortable to a point where your own friend didn't tell you directly that your house is banned to their cleaning company and who has likely told other cleaning companies. Especially if you are in small county town. This man is not going to accept and divorce and would rather have his life taken away than to be exposed. I repeat, this man is not a normal, rational person. You need to be extremely careful because you cannot be with this man any longer, as despite his financial and emotional abuse, you have the strength to want to live. You have to be strong for your kids, most of all above yourself. You need to tell your very close friends and family everything. It may be embarrassing, but it's truly not. You're not the one who had multiple affairs and disgraced your family. You have been looking after your children and family for years. He's the embarrassment. Keep a diary of everything and hid it extremely well, or even give to a friend to keep. Secretly start your fund to leave. Do not have a conversation on divorce with him alone again. Gather all your and your kids' documentation. Seek a lawyer for divorce advice. Then when he is not home, leave. This man is clearly dangerous and you need to act carefully. Do not sacrifice your life to protect this man's reputation, as you don't want this man raising your kids solo. Good luck. Keep documents. That STD and any testing those sexual partners of his do can help back you up. Get an attorney. Don't keep handling this to the point he succeeds in gaslighting you into thinking only his solutions are feasible. I don't want to seem alarmist, but I feel compelled to say it: the most dangerous time for a woman in an abusive relationship is when she leaves. Please be fast and careful. You married a creepy cult leader. You can either do what you know is right, here and now, in the present, or sit back and watch your sons walk down one of a few paths. They'll either turn into little copies of him, become his victims, or some combination of the two where they blame you for staying with him. Honestly, you leave him. You deserve so much more. What would you say if one of your sons came to you in your shoes telling you his wife was doing all this? Would you tell him to forgive her, or would you say to him he deserves better and to leave her and move on with his life? Because honestly, you don't sound happy, and happiness is way better than tons of money and misery. Please file for divorce. Who cares if he is ruined? He gave you a STD and is lying to the world. Run before his career collapses. Thank goodness you got an education. You kids will thank you for not falling for the snake oil salesman you married. Hugs.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.